Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today in this module, we will be discussing about sustainable municipal solid waste management. Now, so far in the previous modules, we discussed about waste, its characteristics, compositions, different management aspects like starting from waste collection, segregation, transport, treatment, processing, treatment and disposal options. In this module, we will look into the various management aspects for having a sustainable waste management. The learning objectives of this module will be to understand the concept of sustainable development, to study about sustainable municipal solid waste management, to gain knowledge about the criteria involved in sustainable municipal solid waste management. Now, to start with, according to UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme, sustainable integrated solid waste management is defined as the selection and application of suitable techniques, technologies and management strategies for achieving waste management goals. Now, while framing these sustainable waste management strategy, you have to consider a number of aspects starting from your socio-economic aspect, cultural, legislative, technical, institutional and other environmental aspects. Now, the sustainable waste management strategy is a multi-aspect concept which includes socio-economic, cultural, legislative, technical, institutional and other environmental aspects. The sustainable municipal solid waste management establishes a link between the stakeholders involved at each level and different aspects of various municipal solid waste management strategies. It offers far-reaching interdisciplinary agenda to deal with the various problems of municipal solid waste management, and they focus on bringing a sustainability in municipal solid waste management, especially in developing countries which has a very poor solid waste management services. The sustainable approach takes into account almost every possible aspect of municipal solid waste management, starting from the generation of waste, segregation at its source of generation, collection and transport, recycling and resource recovery, existing waste disposal methods and its upgradation along with community participation. Now, as a whole, if you see municipal solid waste management, I mean the sustainable municipal solid waste management, it has a outlook. It says that a viable and an organized approach is needed in every element of the sustainable waste management system. For its accomplishment, the technical, legal, managerial, socio-economic and financial outlook is always considered. Prominent concerns in each element of sustainable waste management system should be identified and then they should be considered for implementation. The most crucial environmental concern in municipal solid waste management is the build-up of indiscriminate and uncontrolled waste and its improper handling and disposal. Now, these problems should be first addressed by identifying their causes. Now, some of the causes include increased household trash and commercial waste, lacking of segregation practice at the source, lack of collection and transportation facilities for collection of waste and its disposal, inefficient and insufficient capacity of the disposal system and unsuitable means employed for disposal of the waste. Now, the above mentioned problems are generally prevalent and you can find them in a developing country or underdeveloped country. Hence, they require remediation and restoration aspect for prevailing or achieving a proper sustainability in the municipal solid waste management system. Disposing the commingled waste without any prior segregation and treatment generally requires very high cost in terms of loss of resources such as recyclables and reusables and transportation and disposal cost. Also, it affects the environment to a greater level by polluting the air, soil and water. It also causes a lot of health hazards and leads to a loss in the economy. The economic losses can be due to the lack of resources of finance, which is generally required to achieve a proper sustainable waste management system. Now, this cycle continuously goes on and on until some major remedial steps are adopted to prevent degradation of the environment and socio-economic condition of the people. The primary step to achieve success in an integrated sustainable waste management system is problem identification at each level. The analysis should take into account the technological as well as the performance aspect, which includes the environmental, social, economical, institutional, legal and the political aspects. Now, the important issues that needs to be considered are given below. First, talking about the management aspect, it begins with the collection, which covers the rate of generation and area cover, facilities and other capabilities, transportation, which considers type of facility, then capacity of frequency of the trips, the distance between the transfer station, their route, how their functioning along with the processing systems like the efficiency, performance, capacity, all these needs to be included when considering the management aspects like the technological and the performance aspect. Then the environmental concerns also plays an important role, which includes the rate of collection and disposal of municipal solid waste from the locality, separation of infectious, toxic and hazardous waste from municipal solid waste stream, frequency and occurrence of the waste related diseases, a guideline for waste recycling, reduction and reuse, environmental awareness among the people. Next to the management and the environmental aspect, financial and economic features also play an important role in a sustainable solid waste management system. Under financial and economic features, you have to consider the various funding sources like the taxes which is involved, the municipal budget, user charges and other basic charges which are involved. You should also consider the proficiency in the factors of the budget for overall waste stream expense recovery through tax and levy laid and general efficiency in the utilization of finance. The next important aspect that needs to be considered is the socio-cultural feature. Here you have to take care of the concerns of stakeholders who are involved in the municipal solid waste management. Their performance in association with municipal body, the framework for their participation in different activities at different levels, that is starting from the grassroots level, and also the input by the women and other social organizations are included in the socio-economic aspect. Now, the next one is the institutional aspect. Under the institutional aspect, we have to consider the sharing of responsibilities within the framework of management, whole waste stream including the involvement of private agencies, NGOs, community based organization should be included in the management such that the performance related problem, if any, could be easily sorted out and can be resolved. Now, the supervision of waste stream having enough technical expertise which play important role in effective build up of the system is also considered under the institutional aspect. Now, talking about the legislative aspect, again it involves the powers, budgeting and functioning of the system. The legislative framework, because of its executive powers, can enforce the rules to facilitate the achievement of the laid objectives. In case of any problem arising due to these policy and legal operations, it can be sorted out at the local levels immediately. Now, let us look into the various approaches that are used or involved in a sustainable municipal solid waste management. According to the present status of municipal solid waste management, you require a strategic approach at every level to achieve a proper or sustainable waste management. After taking into account the different factors, there are two approaches which have been formulated. One is an upstream strategy, the other one is a downstream strategy. In an upstream strategy, a basic set of rules such as the reduction of waste generation, segregation at the point of generation, encouraging recycling practice and promoting solid waste composting techniques. All these things come under the upstream strategy. The principle of cleaner production adopted under the upstream strategy directs the production and supply of environment friendly products and services by the industries and manufacturing units. This will result in waste reduction at the manufacturing end, and this would result in waste reduction at the manufacturing end rather than the end of consumption. Application of cleaner production idea would be successful and can reduce the amount of waste at the source of production itself, that is where the waste is produced. For example, it can be a residential area, industrial, manufacturing unit, etc. The downstream strategy is applied to those countries which critically require an improvement in their existing solid waste management system. Here the concept of cleaner production always recommends segregation of mixed waste, I mean the co-mingled waste, before transportation and dumping. Now, the advantages of segregation process includes reduction in quantity of waste before disposal. It eliminates negative effect on the environment. The operating cost is minimized. The land area required for the disposal of waste is ultimately reduced. The valuables can also be required from the waste, and this would result in effective utilization and conservation of resources. Now, the major problems arising from open dumping like exudation of gas and leachate generation, apart from odor, aesthetic and dust problems need to be emphasized more. The main reason which gives rise to such conditions are identified as uncollected waste and disposal of waste in open dumps, which cause immediate human health and environmental hazard. In order to achieve 100% waste collection, it is important for us to restore the supervisory capability in addition to financial and legal participation, along with sufficient technological infrastructure. Now, let us discuss about how to address the existing MSWM problems, that is municipal solid waste management problems. Now, disposal of municipal solid waste in open dumps in an unscientific way is main problem of solid waste management. Unscientific way means it is not the various environmental matrices are not protected and the waste is just disposed or discarded into an open area. Now, other related problems include poor designing, lacking compaction, top cover and insufficient monitoring system for leachate and landfill gas that is being generated from these landfills. A sustainable approach in most of the developing countries would be to put down existing waste management practice and construct engineered sanitary landfill for effective solid waste disposal. That means, the open dumps which are existing now should be converted into a sanitary or a safe engineered landfill. Now, existing landfill should be upgraded in accordance with the environmental standard. Also, landfill bioreactors should be constructed to enhance the degradation of waste within a short period of time to improve the biological process. Now, let us look into the critical characteristics that play an important role in a sustainable municipal solid waste management. So, we will look into the various aspects, various outlook. It consists of a management outlook, financial outlook, legislative outlook and a technical outlook. Each we will discuss in detail. First, let us talk about the management outlook. The management aspect is very important and should go in parallel to the technical planning. Most of the developing countries suffer from lack of work efficiency and constructed resource allotment for the technical aspect. This is mainly due to the political influence or politically induced appointments which lead to non-attendance of workers at the workplace. The management sector therefore should be strengthened by considering the following criteria. a viable and implementation plan with a strategy for improving the environmental quality for the management of municipal solid waste at the regional level would help in proper management. Secondly, the polluter pay principle should be applied to every waste generator starting from the government, non-government agencies, commercial and private sectors. Polluter pay principle is nothing but you have to pay for the pollution which you are creating. The next one, development of organized information system should be done so that serviceable, comparable and updated records can be maintained in terms of solid waste generation aspect, and also that will help in continuous supervision. The environmental management strategy, that is the product stewardship, the concept of cleaner production and specifications given to the manufacturers for the packing materials should be applied in order to reduce waste generation at the manufacturers and at the consumer end. This will help in resource recovery and resource conservation. A long-term plan for sustainable waste management will always include identification of suitable waste disposal site with each within each state or region. For the regulation and monitoring of solid waste management, responsible government agencies should be appointed to supervise the local government as well as the private firms. The participation of private sectors, NGOs and community based organizations should be encouraged for producing managerial support. Now, the technical outlook consists of transfer of technologies to the developing countries from the developed countries, which require acclimatization of the technique at the regional and the local level. You should also have a well planned strategy for management need to be employed on technical aspect. The following aspects need to be stressed, like there has to be a facility of enclosed structure for primary collection of municipal waste, and you should have a proper color coded bins for storing community waste. The color coded bins and enclosed structures placed at the curbside will help in easier collection of waste and its transportation to the disposal site. The number of waste storage facility and the waste collection vehicle will depend upon the density of the population in a particular area. The waste from the community storage units should always be transported on regular basis before it spills out. It can be done using compacted trucks to improve the task force. Now, the outdated vehicles should be taken out and the people depositing domestic and institutional waste in the collection units should be encouraged. There has to be a fixed time schedule for the collection of waste about which people should be well aware of, and that will facilitate better collection. Also, there should be a facility of transfer station at appropriate distance from the residential area wherever needed. Cities with population of more than 5 lakh should be equipped with transfer station facility with weigh bridges at both processing as well as disposal site. An integrated waste management approach should be adopted by the communities residing adjacent by sharing common facilities such as the centralized solid waste treatment system and disposal facilities. R&D should also be encouraged to sustain changes in the waste generation and management scenario. On the basis of accessibility of land area and fund, the existing dump sites should be transformed into sanitary landfills. In case it is not economically feasible, then you have to opt for open unsanitary dumps, but it should be closed to prevent invasion by the scavengers and other open burning. Now, sanitary landfills again should be constructed in an environmental friendly manner with the facilities of leachate treatment and landfill gas control system. The intrusion and mixing of hospital and and industrial waste into the municipal solid waste stream should be checked in order to avoid infection and health hazards. For this, the separate solid waste management system should be considered and constructed for hospitals, healthcare units and industries. Community participation should be encouraged and awareness should be spread in every community through information, education and communication. Now, under the financial outlook, you should consider mobilization and budgeting of the resource. Also, the financial aspect governs the technical and the management aspect of the sustainable waste management system. Whatever plans or whatever technical aspect or the designs which you are making, it would be successful only when you have the financial support, without which all plans will fail. So, the allotment of sufficient budget is very imperative for the collection and final disposal of the municipal solid waste. Sometimes, in spite of sufficient share or availability of budget allocated for the municipality, the waste processing system, they suffer from financial crisis due to overstaffing. There has to be a fine coordination and transparency among the staff members regarding the finance distribution for waste handling, operation and maintenance. Imposing charges for the waste collection and disposal should always depend upon the rate of waste generation and economic condition of the area. The private sectors to invest for the management of waste while considering the setup of centers for waste recycling. Providing subsidies, soft loans and tax exemptions for equipments, machineries, spare parts will also encourage private sectors and organizations. Now, next is the legislative outlook. A well organized framework is required and legislation with effective implementation play a major role for sustainability. The following aspects should be considered for a legislative outlook. A suitable standard for disposal facility, including effluent and emission standard, need to be set up for the discharge of pollution. These standards may be based on either WHO norms or the National Pollution Control Standards. All the waste disposal units should be declared as pollution source and should be imposed to strict discharge standards in accordance to the established standards. Law and regulation should be set up for the mechanism involving resource recovery, recycling of waste and waste reduction. Taxation for solid waste management should be in compliance with the existing situation and higher tax should be imposed for those goods having excessive packaging or for those that generate high volume of waste. For mass transportation workstations, a suitable solid waste management system should always be regulated. A well organized solid waste management regulation including a proper guideline for implementation of waste collection, their transport and final disposal has been set up, but its effective enforcement is still absent. So, it is important to regulate different categories of waste such that they do not commingle or mix with the other waste streams of municipal solid waste, and every waste processing and disposal facilities with a perimeter of at least 500 meter should be marked as a buffer zone for no development. Now, the supportive outlook talks about the mobilization of the supportive aspects that requires working in parallel with technological system, financial resources, management and legislation for achieving a sustainable waste management system. The following aspects should be considered under a supportive outlook. Involvement of private agencies should be encouraged for collection, hauling and disposal of waste. It should be done for short term as well as long term contract, as the involvement will increase the efficiency of the system. To fulfill the goal, the contractor should be endowed with concession. The concept of sustainable solid waste management should be introduced in the public academic program, workshops and other trainings in school curriculum. Training and education programs should be initiated to foster administrative and technological capacity building at local as well as regional level. The waste assortment, segregation and recycling of the waste should be emphasized at the source of generation by employing organized and feasible strategy. The projects related to research and development should be promoted in the academic and research institutions for appropriate sustainable technology to cope up with the bottlenecks of the existing system. To summarize, in this module, we have familiarized about the concept of sustainable development in municipal solid waste management system. We have discussed about various aspects like the technical, socio-economic, cultural, legislative and other aspects which is essential for a proper sustainable municipal solid waste management system. Then we discussed about the upstream and the downstream approach for integrated solid waste management system. Lastly, we discussed about the various critical characteristics that played an important role or that would play an important role to achieve best sustainable municipal solid waste management, like the technical aspect, managerial aspect, like the technical outlook, financial outlook, legislative outlook, supportive outlook and so on. Thank you.